Yes, them have the heart of a pagan. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous trod in the countenance of the Almighty One. Them have the heart of demons. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous walk in the countenance of the Almighty One. Poor people see hostility rising daily.
Minister, excuse me, I'm promoting you here, Deacon Reg, but that's because there's ministry all up inside of you. Okay, go ahead. I want you to respond.
In reference to what he's saying, the Bible clearly tells men how they ought to treat their wives. We don't correct our wives. This is what the Bible says, and I quote, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, so that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy and blameless. So husbands ought also to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ also does the church." So as Christians, true Christians, you ought to love your wife like you love yourself. You're not going to punch yourself. You're not going to beat yourself. You're not going to slam yourself up against the wall. Christ gave himself for the church. And that's what husbands ought to do for their wives. You're supposed to be willing to give your life for your spouse. So in that same regard, I'm not going to beat my wife. I don't have to correct my wife. I'm not going to be a husband to my wife, even if she's not a wife to me. My responsibility as a husband is to be a husband, regardless of whether she be a wife or not. She's going to have to answer to God for that. I'm going to trust that God's going to deal with her. I'm not going to tell her what she needs to do, because the Spirit of God tells her what she needs to do. If I be what God has called me to be, then my wife is going to be what God has called her to be because of me. She's going to follow me as I follow Christ. I don't have to teach her anything. That's what the Spirit of God is for.
I'd like to respond to that, Minister, since you had to
go
respond to me.
Go ahead.
That is so wrong, and it's so why homosexuals thrive in the Christian church. Get me 1 Corinthians 11, okay? The Bible says, "Wives, obey thy husbands as on," get that one for me. "Wives, obey thy husbands as unto the Lord." Yeah, you are supposed to love your wife like Christ loved the church. And guess what? Christ is in charge of the church. Right. Christ is giving direction to the church. Christ told the church, the 7 churches in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, that if they didn't obey him, he would destroy them. You're right, you're supposed to love your wife like Christ loved the church. But guess what? You're supposed to be the authority of your wife. You're supposed to guide your wife. Read it for me, brother.
Ephesians 5:22. Wives, submit yourselves unto...
Do what?
Wives, submit yourselves.
What does it mean to submit? It means to humble down and obey your husband. This is what never gets said. This is why black men's spirit's so beat up in America with this kind of mindset. A woman's supposed to obey her husband and submit to her husband. When are we going to tell these women the truth so we can save their life? Why do you think they dress half naked on the street? Why do you think they whores and sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry? Why do you think these brothers done left up out of these houses? Are we going to solve the problem, or are we going to lie to them? God said, not my words, God said. Do what? Read it again.
Submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
Read on.
As unto the Lord.
As unto God. You marry that, you had lay down and have sex with that man, guess what? When you get up out that bed, that's God speaking to you.
That's right.
According to the Bible. That's the Lord speaking to you now.
Please.
Yes, them have the heart of a pagan. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous trod in the countenance of the Almighty One. Them have the heart of demons. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous walk in the countenance of the Almighty One. Poor people see hostility rising daily. Ignorant multiply brutality. We I see that they run gone left mommy. Fi struggle the hard road with 5 beginning. Our I see baby having baby. Nothing that happen no do.